morning, everyone. This is Ace from Product Management, and we are here in the session regarding IPC PayCheck, HCM, automating your HR timekeeping process, a workflow. So, in this webinar, we will show to you how IPC PayCheck works. We will drill down the specifics on how you can use and configure and run your timekeeping, payroll, and HCM HRIS process. At the same time, we will also show you the benefits and how it actually minimizes all of the back-end tasks that HR, admin, IT, and finance actually goes through on a regular basis. And as mentioned during our meetings with a lot of your peers in HR and admin, we really appreciate the time and effort that you put in. And this is our own way of actually delivering our service to you, making sure that we're able to minimize all of those back-end tasks, clerical tasks that otherwise should have been done, much faster. So the application, IPC PayCheck, supports unique URL. So in this case, in the screen right now, it says ipcdemo.paycheck.ipc.ph. However, for our customers, for you, our clients, we actually have the first level of security, and that is the unique sub URL. So if your company name is, say, for example, Donald Trump, we can say donaldtrump.paycheck.ipc.ph. Now, this is the landing page for your account. On the topmost portion, we can actually configure your logo, company logo. Now, if I may refer you to the part here on login and quick punch. So the application actually supports a quick punch feature that will allow all of your clients, if you enable this feature, to actually be able to time in or time out or break in or break out without having to actually peer through inside the application and clicking that button. So it actually saves you one credentials of login credentials for your account. And then in terms of accesses, we actually offer 5 types of accesses. One is, of course, the employee access. So the employee access, it shows you all of the, shall we say, information relative to an employee, to us actually. Things like timekeeping history, log history, leave credentials, overtime credentials if applicable, and all the other benefits and payments that you may actually receive. Also, if you enable the e-payslip or a paperless payslip, through the employee account, you can actually see all of those past and present payslips. Now, for the benefit of this webinar, we will use the admin account because the admin account actually has all of the features enabled if you are an admin user. Aside from the admin user and the employee user, we also have a team manager view. So the team manager view, when set by admin or HR, can actually see the team members that the team leader is actually managing. Like, for example, if you are in marketing, the marketing manager can see the marketing officers, the specialists, and the graphic artists, all those sort of things. Another access is the accountant access. The accountant access, by the function of an accountant, deals mostly or mainly with financial transactions, numbers, deductions, and additions. The fourth user, the HR, is actually similar to an admin. However, the HR does not have override credentials. So those 5 users make up actually the major functional groups or functional teams with regards to HCM, timekeeping, and payroll. So now let's go to the application itself. Okay, so just click here, log in. By the way, if you have questions, you may want to post them later, and I'll be more than willing to answer all of them. So this is the application. As you can see here, it shows you the punch in and punch out button, break in and break out buttons. At the same time, if I may refer to you to the time, system time of the application. You might be wondering, Ace, if, for example, I have an unscrupulous or a very witty employee and tries to change the clock of the device or the computer where we're logging in, will it matter? Will it make sense? The answer to that is no, because actually this one is referenced on a system clock that is accurate to within a few milliseconds per year. So you can be assured that the time of your application, the time used by IPC PayCheck is very, very accurate, because after all, most of the things that you deal with in timekeeping in payroll has something to do with the time element. So now let's now look at what we can see and what we can do with IPC PayCheck. By the way, before we dig into the details, please appreciate on the usability and the user interface of the application, wherein it's actually more like a catered to a mobile facing infrastructure, wherein the buttons are more like the icons in your smartphones or in your iPhones or Android devices, because it is the objective of IPC PayCheck to make sure that viewing it, using it, and configuring it will be less of a hassle. So now let's look at what we can do here for IPC PayCheck's features and what you, our audience, looking at time records. This is actually a view of a person or a team member when it comes to the record of a day in and day out, time in, time out, break in and break out of the person. So with regards to time records, we can actually see here, like for example, let's look here for um, punch history. Okay. Now, you can see here that the person has been absent for a long time. But by the way, this is just a demo account. Your actual data may vary, and we'll make sure that your data is highly confidential. So while you can see this in the application, you can actually download the file. So if I may refer to you to that CSV button where you can actually see the punch history report. So this is also useful if you want to track and record all of the information that the application has gathered. So in the case of this employee, you can see here the timeout, late minutes, under time, all of those informations that are helpful in trying to measure and gauge the employee's work history and punch history. At the same time, may I also refer to you in the overtime records, because through the overtime records, you can actually not only see and file and approve the overtime, but you can also, when you file the overtime, state the reason why you're applying for the overtime. Because some companies, some of you out there listening to us right now in this webinar, may have policies on pre-shift and post-shifts overtime. But what's good about IPC PayCheck is that we support both, because we recognize the reality that some overtimes of your employees might be emergency overtimes that may have not have been planned previously. So you can set it here that this is a post shift, and then you can set the day the overtime was generated or done or completed, and then you can state the reason. And then when you submit it, IPC PayCheck actually has a feature on workflows. So through the workflow system, once an application for an overtime or a leave, later we'll discuss that, is filed, the notification actually automatically lands to the approver. So in the case of, for example, a junior, say junior gardener, when the good junior gardener files an overtime application, based on your settings as a company, the senior gardener or the supervisory gardener can receive the notification, and that person can approve or disapprove that. Now, the application, as we mentioned, supports workflow and supports multiple workflows. So if, for example, if we go back to the junior gardener example, we can set that after the senior gardener approves or approves it, we can set, like, for example, the vice president for operations will then approve or disapprove the application. So it's not just limited to one approver in when it comes to these types of applications. Now, for leave records, it's the same. You can generate the reports, you can file the leaves, and when you apply for the leave, what's good about this system is that, one, you can select the leaves here, but also you can add leaves as you want. So while the government mandated leaves may be in the form of sick leave, vacation leave, or solo parent, or that DSWD mandated leave for single parents. Um, if you have special leaves like company leaves or shall we say incentive leaves, you can add them. When you file your leaves here, you're actually eliminating a lot of paperwork, because this is actually one of the biggest headaches in any HR or accounting or IT team. It's actually managing the leaves, because one thing is filing, the other thing is the accrual. So IPC Paycheck thankfully supports the accrual process of any employee's leave credentials. So for example, if we go back to the junior gardener, for example, you can set it here that every month or so, he gets 1.2 or 1.3 BS, and then 2.0 or 3 sick leaves. So it automatically accrues per month. At the same time, when he files a leave and it gets approved, it is automatically deducted on the leave balances. So instead of the paper thing wherein it has to be routed to a lot of people and then eventually be tagged into a system, this actually eliminates a lot of the manual processes. So much that since this is online, if, for example, the person files a sick leave from wherever he is or whenever capable, he can file the application. He or she can file the application wherever he or she is, be it in the hospital, at home, or where else. So through this system, you can also note here how many days. At the same time, you can also note here the reason for leave, for applying for the whatever leave it is, so that the approver will be more guided on deciding whether this is approved or disapproved. When it comes to team status, this is a good feature actually, especially, for example, you are in a BPO setup, or you are in a services setup, or you are in a factory setup, wherein the leader's visibility on his team members is very, very critical. So if, for example, you are a BPO and you're managing so-and-so account, what will happen here is that if the team manager has access to the team status view, he can see if the employee is absent, if the employee is late, or if the employee is on break. So this application empowers further productivity. And these are actually features that are very hard to so we say, give a value to it, because these are priceless features brought about by IPC PayCheck that actually hastens your company's processes. And in this age of competition, productivity is king. And we're glad that IPC Paycheck transcends beyond the regular timekeeping and payroll. In fact, the topic of this HCM or HRIS discussion is actually moving towards this, not just the simple uh, payroll and timekeeping process, but giving more meaning to your employees, meaningful results, meaningful data, and meaningful projects and meaningful activities that actually will aid in their overall well-being in the company. Because to me, frankly, it's not all about compensation, salaries, and benefits. It's about putting some meaning, some definition to the daily grind that we're having, like making sure that all of our health records are in place, making sure that when data is requested, it is immediately available. Things like that add up to the overall, shall we say, happiness factor of the employees. Because there's always this saying, happy employee leads happy and excellent results. So going back to the application, let's now look at the meat of the pie, so to speak. So under HR feature, we have here time and attendance report. So in time and attendance report, this is the area where you can actually generate the overall attendance of any employee, whether it's the whole team or the whole group or the whole company or even an individual. You can actually get it. You can have a specific coverage, specific dates even. So let's now look at one of the time. So let's look at between March 16 to March 31. Okay. Okay, so this is the generated report for all the employees. Now, since this is a demo account, the employees may not have timed in. But in any case, once they do time in, all of those information will be captured by the system. So it covers from late, from working hours, from days present, from leaves, with or without pay, rest day, special conversion, night differentials, basically everything, because we want to give you all of the information that you need, and it will be up to you to drill down or to pick which information will be relevant to your company. So let's look at the summary. You can actually download it as a CSV file, not just for reference purposes, but also to have a backup, so to speak, or another copy that you can use if you want to file it or the management would require it. So as you can see here, it's actually the same, but instead of that GUI based information, this is an Excel type of the data wherein you can just copy and paste, and you can use this to do other types of data generation. At the same time, through this, you can actually submit your payroll, because the thing about IPC Paycheck is that it has multiple layers or levels of security to make sure that not only are you able to generate the information that you need, but also have a series of steps that will allow you to make sure that when you, for example, generate a payroll, if you make a mistake, you can actually revert to it, or you can fix whatever is wrong with the information. Um, if, for example, you submit the payroll, what will happen then is that it will actually generate the overall employee salary for that time period. Okay. Now, if we look at employee settings, well, employee settings is actually a lot. In manage employee feature of IPC Paycheck, you can actually see all the information regarding most relevant information regarding employees. So let's look at Joe and Espinosa. Well, by the way, you are seeing here letters or colors, but you can upload picture uh, through this application. So for your reference as well, because sometimes it helps to see more information regarding the person. So you just click browse photo. Okay, and then choose the picture, be it in JPEG or bitmap, then it's already there. Now, if you view personal information, you'll be able to see the name, team, the heads, and then when it comes to uh, uh, educational background, it will show you the school, or whether the person went from elementary to college, all those information. Um, One thing good about this application, as you notice, is it eliminates all of those paperwork. And gone will be the days of drawers or cabinets or racks where an employee's data is in a single folder. Through this application, through the HCM feature of IPC PayCheck, you can actually upload all of those information here so that when it is needed, it can be easily requested and sent to that person. You can email the file, the document, or you can even print it uh, through this application. Another example is on asset accountability. So if, for example, you gave a junior gardener a shovel, you can actually put it here and then say that I gave the shovel to the person, so that when he or she retires or resigns, you can check in the offboarding process that, hey, I gave this guy a shovel, he better return it before he leaves the company. At the same time, the IPC PayCheck HCM feature has a medical information feature that, when used, it can actually be the repository of a person's health and hospitalization history. Right? At the same time, you can download all those information as a PDF, um, because not only do we want to have a summary of all of these things, but sometimes the employee wants those data as well. So if I can click this here, the medical information of Miss Joanne Espinosa, you can see the hospitalization information, sickness information, or HMO information. So we want to make sure that all the records of the employees can be easily accessed. Because for us here in IPC, we've been actually visiting a lot of um, all of your peers in HR and admin industry, and this is actually one of their biggest headaches, having to manage all of those records. Because sometimes the data, the records, especially for a person who's been there for a long time, pile up, and just being able to effectively manage that is a very gargantuan task. And through IPC Paycheck, it lessens about 80 to 90% of that task. If we go back to the another other features of the application, there's also a feature here on managing teams. Now, when we say managing teams, it does not limit us to the typical line departments like marketing, finance, sales, operations. If, for example, within the operation department, there are some teams that need to be, measured or checked. IPC Paycheck allows for some teams, so you can have a small group, and that head of the group can manage that part of the system, right? So you can also reports regarding the team. So if I may click the CSB team report here, uh, as you can see here, all the reports that are generated, when they are generated, happens very fast. The reason for that is that IPC Paycheck is the only cloud-based and payroll and HCM HRA solution that is locally hosted in the Philippines. Um, IPC PayCheck is run in the enterprise-grade cloud servers of IPC powered by Cloud Sigma. So this ensures that your application will be in tip-top performance all the time. So what you're seeing right now is the team report, and it will show the managers and the team members and the team name, for example. So you can have a summary of all of the teams, for example, if that's possible. At the same time, may I refer you to the logs of the system. The system supports unlimited, or shall we say millions of logs, say 10 million logs, to make sure that everything and anything that any person, any member edits or does to the application is recorded. Now, why is that important? This is because we want to assure you that the application has an audit system where anything that's happened to the system since the start of the subscription will be recorded, because IPC PayCheck and the IPC product management group recognizes that this is a very critical application. Like, a 10,000 peso earning employee, you just add the zero and it becomes 100,000 peso salary. So being part of ISO 9001 and ISO 27001, we are assuring you that all the information is retrievable and available for your convenience, right? When it comes to employee schedules, this is actually a very useful and important part of the system, and I know all of you are very eager to know how this is done now. The employee schedules is treated in two ways. One is on the template, and the other one is actually on the variances. Now, when we say templates, we are actually allowing you to provide schedules, put a name to it, and then store it in the application so that you don't have to bother with recurring and repetitive schedules for all those employees. So if, for example, we go back to the gardener example, if you have a group of gardeners, say for Forbes Park, you can create a Forbes Park gardener shift A. And then if, for example, a new gardener comes in, instead of tinkering on the daily schedule of the employee, all you have to do is apply the schedule to a selected user, like in this case, Imagineers. You can create a schedule for that person, and then this is automatically applied already. Now, when we talk about schedules, right? Let's see how the schedule is done, okay? What you need to do is click Create New Schedule, okay? I hope my speaking speed is not too fast for you guys. Okay, so this is the new schedule template. So you can place here a template name. So let's say shift 1A gardeners for Forbes. Okay. Now you can actually change the shift type as well. So it can be a regular shift wherein the time in and time out is the same. Well, it can also be in a regular shift, although I think this is very few companies are using this. You can have a ship in, a separate ship in and ship out on every day of the week. At the same time, you can do the flexi shift. So for many BPOs and other companies, they also use this flexi shift. So it's not bound by a static time in and a static time out. At the same time, for the management or for executives or company owners, there's also a free shift feature wherein, to put it bluntly, you don't have to time in and time So it's the president or si boss or si madam. When it comes to breaks, you can actually you can also have multiple breaks. You can have no breaks also, and then you can also set if this is a rest day or not. Okay, so when you say you want multiple break, all you need to do is click this button, and then you can have an exact time or a floating time or a range. This is very useful, for example, in the food business, wherein in a certain restaurant, for example, the crew cannot have the same lunch break. Otherwise, the store will not have any employees who can assist or deal with the customers. All right. So once this is created, um, this is now available to all employees. And if you want this to be attributed to a certain person, to a certain group, or to all the employees, it can be done conveniently. Um, you can you can upload as many, shall we say, schedules as you want, because we want to give you the convenience that you can store and keep a record of all of the shifts and schedules, and when you need it, it's easy for you to get. Okay. Um, However, we also offer a unique editing of schedule, which means that while the person, say, has a preset schedule, you can actually vary it based on certain conditions. Although, of course, it would be best to not edit it, so you don't have so many variances. You can do a change in regular shift in the shift. All you need to do is click edit. Okay. Once you click edit, you can view the employees uh, set up, for example. Okay. Let me just okay. So you can create a custom template for that custom person, because in IPC Paycheck, we realized that uh, certain conditions and certain special considerations need to be done, and the application should be able to support you with that. So you can then change a specific person's to have a unique schedule. Okay. And then as part of employee settings, we also offer leave credit management. Now, this might seem a mouthful, but basically it only it deals with a person's needs. So, um, as mentioned, you can add or remove leaves or create leaves at the same time. Like for example, let's look at this employee. Uh, you can see here the available and approved and pending leaves. You can also see the increment history. At the same time, you can add leaves to this person. So what kind of leaves and how many days, depending on the position, we leave it up to your prerogative. All right. Now, the application also has a feature on employee movements. Now, why is this very important? It is because if a person will need to shift to another position or to another salary grade or to a different level where there's a different amount of salary, there's a different salary, it also has something to do with the taxation and other benefits. So it's important that the movement is stopped by the system and not made into a system audit as a simple edit. Because you might be wondering, Ace, why do you still need this feature when I can edit this in the employee information? The answer to that is we want to make sure that when a person, say for example, is a junior gardener and becomes a senior gardener, the taxation and other benefits should follow. So let's try. Let's do move and change. So let's say employee, say let's say Arfel Valdez. Okay. So the movement type, say, it's a different position to different position, to say, uh, automate. You can also, from this setup, change the position of the person from, say, junior gardener to senior gardener or to a developer, for example. And as mentioned, you can change the salary of the person. So you can change the salary type. You can even change the basic salary. You can change the hourly rate and the effectivity date. It seems like it's a lot of things to do, but on a normal setup, on a typical traditional setup, you will be doing this and you'll be computing it manually. You'll be putting it in a certain sheet that may get lost over time. And, as I was mentioning to a lot of our customers, a lot of our clients, a lot of our partners in HR, we now have a greater appreciation of the things that you do. Because as you can see here, just moving the person from one position to another really deals with a lot of things, a lot of intricacies that if you do not use an application such as IPC PayCheck, it's going to be a lot of tasks. Well, one or two employees, it might be just okay. But when you're dealing with 5, 10, 100, 200, thousands of employees, it takes up a lot of time. Takes up way, way too much time. Okay? Now, with disciplinary actions feature of IPC Paycheck, well, we do not, this is the feature that we hope that you use the least because through this application, you can actually create a disciplinary action. You can create a report that is officially available in the system and that you can give to the employee and it will become part of the record. Okay, so you just say select the violator. Okay. Okay, let's select a employee. So let's say Joan Espinosa. Okay. So what's the violation? Let's just say HHWW. Okay. So holding hands while walking. So what's the disciplinary action? So um, it's a written notice. Okay. So let's say this is the first offense. Okay. And then when is this committed? So let's say he did it. She did it yesterday up to today. And then they can be assigned to the decision maker who's going to review it. And then once that's done, okay, then when you close this, you can then save that um, disciplinary action to violator John Espinosa. Now, once you've created disciplinary actions, you might want to create a report. So the system allows you to show the disciplinary action reports in CSV or PDF. Let's try it in PDF this time. Okay. So see, that's very fast. That's like about a second. Okay. The delay there is on my device actually. All right. So now you can then get a report that it's in this manner. It shows you the number of fines. Basically, it's a summary of all of the disciplinary actions. Okay? After that, the HCM feature of IPC Paycheck has a feature as well on offboarding. Now, what is offboarding? This is a sweet way of saying the person has resigned or has been terminated or is an end of contract. So let's say the person is resigned, and you can actually update this, and then you can check if the exit interview has been set, if the clearance has been set, if the quick claim acknowledgement has been set as well. So this application is a sweet way of helping HR manage attrition and shifting and removal of employees. Not because we want you to because we want you to monitor and track all of these things, because again, there's more to it than salary. So through this offboarding process and through the data that you're able to derive and generate, you can now see why are my employees resigning. Then from the exec interview, you can see there the reasons and why, and whether there's a who as a reason for the resignation. So this tool is a very useful tool, and this becomes part of the HCM segment of IPC PayCheck. And now, if I may report you to import time logs, now this feature is very important for two things. Number one, if you don't have a biometric or device that is directly connected to the system, while we strongly recommend that you uh, uh, purchase or you get the bundled biometric device for IPC PayCheck, because it automatically pushes all of the biometric time in and time out information of the employees. It is also a convenient way of being able to track all of your time logs for all of your employees. However, um, if and when you do not prefer to integrate with our system your biometric device, you can actually derive those information and upload them into the system, so that the system now can calculate and generate time output, payslip data, salary data for all your employees. So you can actually just click choose file and then upload the system. Now, the system follows a very good format, both CSV, .txt, and .dat file. So let's look at that CSV file. So this is the sample time format. All you need to do is from the data from your timesheet or biometric device or the logbook, all you need to do is just put the employee number, the time, and then whether this is there's a variant or some other changes to information, you can actually place it here. And then once uploaded, will be used by the application to generate the timesheet, the time logs, the salary, and all of those things related to a payslip. Okay? Now, when it comes to employee settings, one other things that we can do there is actually manage the time logs. Now, what I mean by managing time logs is that sometimes, for example, the manager would like to see, oh, I'd like to see the time logs of so and so, like let's say the logs of Arfel Valdez. Okay. Now, the person may have time in, for example, or in a different time in, different time out, and a different lunch out. However, there are instances when the time in may not reflect the actual time in of the person. Say, for example, in my case, sometimes we forget, I forget to time in because I'm half awake or I'm half asleep. So I come to the office, say I went to the office at 6. However, I only realized that I need to time in by 10. Through the admin or HR access, they can actually edit it and say, hey, this guy came in at 6 o'clock based on the data of the logbook. So that can be done. At the same time, the company settings feature actually sets a lot of the configurations that you can do for the company. Like, for example, when it comes to holiday management, what's good about this system is that the application already places all of the official government non-working leaves, the national holidays. Um, this is actually very convenient for you because you don't have to bother about these things. All you need to do, all you need to add are the local holidays and local events that you might have a non-working or legal holiday. Uh, at the same time, we can also, as you can see here, there's a log history for every added information. So if you add Bukidnon Day, for example, you will see when this was added, who added which, even the IP address where the editing or the viewing or the information was done. Now, when you talk about leaves through the leave template management, this is actually where you can add a leave. So let's add a leave name of monthly leave. Okay. Now you can also add the leave code. If, for example, let's say leave code 001 dash, make it a little bit confidential, and then you can add how many leaves you can give to the person. You can also check if it's paid. You can also count the number of days, the status, where it's available. You can even set whether it's available to specific gender. Like, for example, we have a client that has a PMS leave for those ladies who may have menstruation concerns. At the same time, you can check if it's cash convertible, if forfeited, if it has incremental rules. So, just showing to you the application, you will realize the task of HR and time in terms of employee management in general. So I personally salute you, all of those listening to us right now in this webinar, uh, that the job that you do is not an easy task. And we assure you that IPC Paycheck will be right there by your side, helping you with regards to automating your HCM, timekeeping, and payroll requirements. Okay. I think there are a few questions here that we will answer at the latter part of the webinar. But please keep on posting your questions, and we will answer them later. You may post them here to the webinar portal, but some may post it to our other IPC channels, and we'll be assuring you that we'll be answering those questions later. Okay. Now, after looking at leave template management, let's look at this feature that, to tell you frankly, this should be the job of a IT. But basically, what this feature is saying, is that you can actually restrict access to this application to whatever IP you prefer. So, for example, you do not want accesses uh, to outside of the office, you can do so. What you can do now is you can whitelist or you can nominate the IP address of your office to make sure that your IPC Paycheck account will only be accessed, logged in, logged out, break in, and break out using company terminals or company resources or company computers or tablets for that matter. Okay, so IPC Paycheck is not just a feature that will assist HR, finance, and admin. At the same time, we help IT, for all those listening out there. We help IT in minimizing all of those tasks also in maintaining and managing the company's account. Now, the announcement feature is very good as well because through the announcements, you can post and push announcements to specific teams or to the company as a whole. Now, the good thing about the announcement feature is that it does not get just pushed here in the app. The application also push the announcement to the email addresses of the employees so that even if they do not log into their IPC Paycheck account, although of course we recommend that they log in regularly, they can still view their announcement through their emails and through the company inboxes, so to speak. Okay. Um, in HRIS configurations, what basically does is uh, configure all of the things that features that you want to incorporate into the system. Okay. Um, it basically offers movements, departments, positions, and offboarding for that matter. Right. Now, when we say, uh, for example, site management, this is a feature that if we offered it in the 1930s would not be relevant because most companies then had a single branch. But nowadays, even small to medium companies have smaller branches here and there. So through site management, you can add a site and you can use that attribute to specific, say, standard salaries, basic salary, minimum wage earner, because as you know, the minimum wage is different. It varies per municipality, per locality, per region, right? In bank accounts management, this basically deals with the salaries, where we push the bank files, and the bank advice. So for IPC Paycheck, we support all the major banks, both local and international. For rural banks, just let us know your bank. We will coordinate and check how we can be able to follow the templates of that rural bank, for example. And in terms of configuration, this basically is a summary of what you can do and cannot do with the system. So if you don't want any timekeeping on the web application, you can do so. You can apply holiday overtime, socio-economic allowance. And this is a unique feature, unique to the Philippines, the grace period, so to speak. So the girl called Grace, they call it. um, this is the reason why uh, this type of application has to be developed locally, and thankfully, IPC Paycheck is a locally developed application. It understands your requirements, your needs, and through features like grace period, it actually answers some of your headaches. So we offer grace period as well. We do ECOLA, CTPA, increments, rendered hours for overtime, you name it, all of the features out there. However, we recognize as well that there might be specific quirks that you may need that may not still be part of the system. Although we can assure you that this is a comprehensive system already. In cases where when you may need customizations, for a small fee, IPC Paycheck is open for customizations. And the reason for that is our recognition that Philippine companies have one or two specific needs that may need to be addressed and may need to be uh, added into the system. So we can support that. But when it comes to configuration, this is a very robust system already. And looking at payroll, you can do payroll registers. This is where you can run your actual payroll. So you can run the payroll. You can generate based on your payroll schedule. Okay, so you can do the payroll start, you can do the payroll end, and then generate it here. And then from this, you can actually see the whole implementation of the system. So you can download all the payslips. Uh, if you allow me to download it, so you can see all the payslips. Right? So let's see it. I think I'm pressed for time, guys. I'm really sorry if I could make it much faster. But in any case, this will become part of the how-to videos, and we'll make sure that all of our partners, HR partners, will have access to this application. So this is the payroll payslip. It looks like a check. It's nice, right? Okay, and then you can also uh, reset the payroll, you can edit and view the payslip. So it's very, very powerful, right? And then when it comes to payroll variables, you can also see, for example, uh, different types of changes, like for example, deductions and additions from this application. Sorry guys if I will extend for a few more minutes because this is actually very important. In terms of deductions, you can create as many deductions as you want, like and then you can apply it to all employees, to a certain group, to a certain team, and then if it's for example SSS loan, you can set the monthly amortization, the value, the validity, the schedule. So this automates a lot of your headaches when it comes to monitoring this because as you know, I myself is guilty of it sometimes. When you ask about your loans, how much you paid, it actually takes a lot of your time for you HR managers, officers, and specialists, right? um, as I mentioned, it also has something to do, it also has an addition feature wherein, for example, you give rice allowance or say load allowance, you can place it here. You can set the validity, you can set it forever, one time, two times, 18 times, or whatever number of times you can set when it starts, the schedule, if it's taxable, if it's prorated daily or dailies given, and then you can apply it to those persons. Now, when it comes to payroll schedules, this is the typical Penas katapusan that they call it in Filipino language. So you can add as many payroll groups as you want, although we think that most companies only have one payroll group actually. Right? Now, when it comes to payroll settings, this has something to do with one with rates and configurations. So when we mean rates and configurations, part of the system, you can determine when the deduction for SSS or PhilHealth or pag-ibig say will be done. You can do it last cut off, first cut off, or equally between the two payrolls. At the same time, you can also set here the rates for holidays, overtimes, and night differential. Like for example, if you if you work on a rest day, the regular pay is about times 1.3. If you work on a overtime, it's about 1.25. You can actually vary this depending on your preferences. Um, when it comes to uh, allowance types, right? Okay, you can add as many allowances as you want. You can create it here. You can create an allowance type. You can even create an allowance class. Like for example, a person under this position may not have the same value or same amount of allowance. So you can actually place it here. When we talk about special payouts, we talk about 13-month or more pay, last pay computation, leave conversion, and special payroll. For 13th month pay, what's good about the system is that it automatically computes the 13-month pay of the employee, whether you want it at the end of the year, what day it is, and if you want to include the NTA, AUT, you want to apply taxes, you want to give it uh, early December, late November, you can generate all of those conditions here. Now, um, this is again another feature that it's available, but we wish you wouldn't have to use, but it actually has a feature on last pay computation because uh, once a person resigns, a lot of computation needs to be done, like prorated 13th month, prorated taxes, prorated salary. Do you need to convert the leaves? Do you need to convert all the other benefits? So this is actually one of the things that an employee is sometimes very sad about, that when he or she resigns, it takes them about 3 months before the last pay is computed. And we think that it's just because the company is withholding it, but part of it, the part wherein the computation or the assessment is actually a very time-consuming process. And without this application, with this application, it will lessen that computation by 95% at least. All right. Now, when you talk about leave conversion, for example, um, leave conversion has something to do with the annual refresh of all the employees' leaves. Okay. At the same time, you can also do a special payroll wherein, all right. Okay. Guys, I've been informed by the director of the webinar that I pressed for time. So please allow me another 10 minutes or so to wrap things up. But I think, go to reports. I think this is an important part of IPC Paycheck because reports are time consuming, they are very tedious, they're prone to errors, and all the information is a mouthful. So with payroll, uh, we can actually generate these reports. Okay. So if, for example, you want to generate BIR 1601, you want to generate the 2316, right? Or you want to IMF, you can actually do so. For government files, for government documents, the good thing about IPC Paycheck is that it will populate the documents, the information for you. So if you have a 500 employee count and you want to generate the monthly report for your PhilHealth contribution report, you can do so. So as discussed, we can generate absences report, leaves report, tardiness report. You can even do a certificate. You can even generate a certificate of employment here. So why don't we do that, right? Let's try this. So let's say the recipient is, let's say Solen. What's the spelling? Okay, I don't know the spelling. And recipient address is ABS CBN. Okay, and then say the employee is uh, Jared Galang, and then the signatory is, say, Arfel Valdez. So when we generate the certificate of employment, it automatically pre-formats everything, and all you need to do is actually print and sign and give to the employee. Very, very nifty feature, and I hope we are doing our share in really automating and minimizing all of those back-end tasks, because just doing this for one person takes about 5 minutes or more, and doing it for 10 people takes about an hour or so. So see, so this now is the kit of employment that is generated by IPC Paycheck. Right? Now let's try one more document, right? So let's try 2316. So 2316, it has a lot of information actually, all the nitty-gritty, all the stuff out there. So let's try one form, all right, for the employee. I think I need to rearrange. So by the way, as you can see here, uh, the application has a built-in calendar, so you don't have to bother if the format of IPC Paycheck is month, day, year, month, year, or whatever. It actually supports an intuitive calendar where all you need to do is pick and click. Right? So let's try, let's say HR. Okay. And then let's try a person. Let's try all. Let's check all here. Okay. Okay, let's try our friend. Okay. I don't seem to see the employee here, but let's actually just check. Yeah, there. So you can check photo generated report, all the information regarding the 2316 of the employee. Okay. Yeah. So it populates everything, the name and all of those information, and all you need to do now, which is good, right? Okay. Now, if I may, I think uh, let's look at the other reports also. You can do 13-month bank advice, batch deduction, cost center, name it. All of those information that you will need, all the tools that you will need in generating an HR report. And rest assured that this webinar will not be the end of this. One is will be continually uh, setting up webinars and webcasts, not just for IPC Paycheck, but for other products as well. And you can be assured that we will continue this. We will also continue with our articles. At the same time, we will not relent on supporting you with all of those information and techniques. By the way, when it comes to your subscription of IPC Paycheck, training and support comes uh, free already with the service. What we can do is we can um, uh, set up a train the trainer sessions for your team. At the same time, you can be assured of how to videos regarding this application. So I think there's a question here from Madam Carla. She's asking how many persons can access this application. So good question actually, because when it comes to um, access, since this application is cloud based, all of your employees, even if they're in the thousands, can access at the same time. What the application will do, it will actually stretch its connectivity to make sure that all of you who are accessing it even at the same time can access it very fast and accurately, right? But if you have further questions, please don't forget to email us at salesteam@ipc.ph. So this ends another webinar edition. Thank you to Mr. John P. Santos, the Director for Webinars and Webcast. And if you have further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So until then, thank you very much. Bye.